Every power takes a price. His was his humanity.
The village elder found him at dawn, climbing the ridge where the pine trees grew twisted and old. Jabari heard the man's labored breathing long before he saw him, caught the scent of fierce sweat and desperation carried on the wind. "They said you'd refuse," the elder called out, his voice thin in the mountain air. "They said the leopard man helps no one anymore." Jabari didn't turn around. His fingers traced the rough bark of a tree, feeling the life pulsing beneath. Once, he would have known this tree's age by touch alone. Now there were gaps in his awareness, holes where his connection to the world used to be. "Go home, old man." "My granddaughter forgot my name yesterday." The elder's voice cracked. "This morning she looked at me like I was a stranger. Whatever is taking us, it's getting faster." Jabari finally looked back. The elder had kind eyes, even now, even afraid. They reminded him of something he'd lost. "If I help you, I become less than what I am now. Each time I change, I lose something I cannot get back." "I know." The elder met his gaze without flinching. "But she's 6 years old and she's forgetting how to smile." The owl landed on a branch above them, its feathers rustling like whispered warnings. Jabari closed his eyes. He'd been running from this gift for 3 years now, but some things couldn't be outrun. "Tell me everything," he said. The village lay in a valley where the river split into 3 streams. Jabari approached at dusk, hood drawn low, his half-mask of dried blood and bone visible only in fragments. The people who saw him pulled their children close. A young woman waited at the village edge, her healer's bag slung across her shoulder. She had bright, fierce eyes that didn't look away when he approached. "I'm Asha," she said. "I'll be coming with you." "No. My sister died 2 months ago. I had 17 years of memories with her. Now I have 5. The thing you're hunting took her from me twice." Her jaw set with stubborn pride. "I'm coming." Something in her voice pulled at the fragments of who he used to be, and he found himself nodding. They walked to where the disappearances centered, a clearing where 7 families had reported the worst effects. Jabari knelt, pressing his palm to the earth. He could feel it now, the wrongness, like a bruise on the world. "I need to see from above," he said, "to find its patterns." He removed his cloak and began to breathe in the way the white leopard had taught him, pulling his soul loose from its human moorings. The change hurt now. His bones hollowed. His arms spread wide and sprouted feathers. The world tilted and expanded, colors bleeding into spectrums he'd forgotten existed. He was eagle now, riding thermals above the valley, and for a moment there was only the joy of flight. Then the gaps appeared. What was his name? Why was he here? The reason slipped away like smoke. He circled, confused, hunting for prey with 2 legs. A voice called from below, unfamiliar sounds, clapping. The sound jarred something loose in his eagle mind. He dove closer. The young female was making rhythmic noise. "Jabari," she said, "come back, remember who you are." She kept talking, her voice steady, and gradually the human thoughts returned. His name, his purpose, the curse eating him alive. He held the eagle form for another hour, mapping the spirit's movements, watching the shimmer where dreams bled into waking. Then he changed back. The return was worse. He collapsed in the grass, his human body feeling foreign and heavy. Asha brought water and didn't ask questions while he remembered how to be a man. "It moves between worlds," he finally said. "Where sleep and wake blur together, I can't reach it from the sky." "Then how?" He looked at his hands. "I go deeper." The snake form was smaller, subtler. He waited until midnight when the boundary between dreams and reality grew thin. This time Asha watched as he shed his human skin. The world became heat and vibration, scent and taste. He was scale and muscle, slipping through grass that towered like forests, tongue flickering to catch the spirit's passage. It tasted of forgetting, of names unspoken and faces fatting. There, a twisted tree that existed in both realms, its roots drinking from the river of sleep. The spirit nested there, a formless thing of shadow and hunger, gorging itself on stolen identities. But the snake's instincts were different from the eagle's, cold and patient. In that patience he saw more clearly. The spirit wasn't hunting. It was feeding desperately, like a wounded animal trying to fill a wound that wouldn't close. It was suffering. He tried to pull back, to return and think, but the snake mind didn't want to let go. It was simpler here. No grief, no loss, no fragments missing. Why return to being broken when he could be whole like this? Asha's voice reached him even here. She was singing something, a healer's song, and the melody pulled at the human parts still remaining. Eventually the man remembered why he'd become the snake. The change back stole his words. He emerged unable to speak, his throat making only hissing sounds. Asha guided him to shelter and waited through the night while language slowly returned. By morning, he could talk again, but he'd lost something else. The memory of cooked food. He looked at the bread she offered and couldn't remember why humans burned their meals. "I found it," he said, voice rough. "But I can't kill it like this. I need the leopard." Asha's expression tightened. "How much of you will be left?" He didn't answer. The owl watched from the twisted tree as Jabari prepared for the final transformation. Asha stood beside him, and though he'd told her to leave, she'd refused. "There might be another way," she said suddenly. "What if it doesn't need to be killed? What if it needs to be healed? It's destroying your village." "Because it's in pain, you saw that." She stepped closer. "What if instead of fighting it, you could take its pain into yourself? Your soul is already fragmented. Maybe it could hold one more burden." "That's insane. So is losing yourself piece by piece to save people who fear you." The white leopard had taught him that the strongest hunters knew when to fight and when to offer mercy. But mercy had a cost too. The owl hooted softly, then flew to Asha's shoulder, settling there with surprising gentleness. "I think it just voted," she said quietly. Jabari began to change one final time. The white leopard was power and pain incarnate. His body stretched and reformed, fur sprouting like silver grass, muscles coiling with lethal grace. This was the form he'd worn when he'd first hunted spirits, when he'd been young and whole. The white leopard saw in all directions at once, moved through both dream and wake as easily as breathing. But even as the power flooded through him, he felt the tearing, pieces of his soul pulling away like roots ripped from soil. He roared, and the sound shattered windows in the sleeping village below. Asha's voice cut through the animal mind. "Remember the choice, Jabari, remember mercy." The dream eater sensed him and fled deeper into the tree, into the nightmare realm. He followed, reality bending around him, and they met in a place that was neither fully dream nor truly awake. The spirit was larger here, more terrible, a writhing mass of forgotten faces. He could destroy it. His claws could carve it to nothing. The leopard wanted that, wanted the kill. But beneath the leopard's instincts, the man still existed, and the man remembered Asha's words. He stopped. They circled each other in that impossible space. "Why?" Jabari asked, forcing human words through his leopard throat. "Why do you feed like this?" The spirit had no voice, but in this place, intention was language. It showed him, a spirit of forgetting created to ease grief. But it had been corrupted, twisted, made to consume rather than comfort. It couldn't stop. The hunger was all it knew now, and it hated itself for what it had become. "Let me carry it," Jabari said. "Your pain, your hunger, I'm already broken. What's one more piece?" The spirit hesitated, then slowly unfurled. Jabari opened himself up, creating space where his missing soul fragments used to be, and let the spirit's anguish pour in. It burned. It screamed. It was every nightmare and every loss, all flooding into him at once. He nearly shattered. Would have if Asha hadn't started singing again, her voice a lifeline. The owl flew into the dream space and beat its wings against the torrent. And slowly, impossibly, the flood became a stream, then a trickle, then just a weight he could carry. The dream eater grew smaller, quieter, until it was just a small shadow that settled near his heart, bound to him now, but no longer destroying. When Jabari opened his eyes, he was human again, lying in the grass with Asha's hand on his shoulder. Dawn was breaking. His body ached in ways that transcended physical pain. "Did it work?" he asked. Asha smiled, tears on her cheeks. "I remember her middle name, my sister. I remember the way she laughed. It's coming back." Around them, the village was waking. People emerged from their homes looking confused but clearer, like fog lifting. A little girl ran to the elder and called him grandfather, and the old man wept. Jabari stood slowly, checking what remained. He'd lost more than he'd hoped. The memory of his first hunt, the sound of the white leopard's purr, the feeling of sunlight on skin, but he'd kept more than he'd feared, enough to still be human, enough to still be himself. "What will you do now?" Asha asked. He looked at the owl, at his lost piece that had become its own creature. It hooted softly. "I don't know," he admitted. "I've been running so long, I forgot there might be other options." "You could stay, for a while at least." She stood beside him, not afraid, not pitying, just present. "I could use help identifying spirits, and maybe, if there are others like you, we could find a different way, one that doesn't cost pieces of your soul." The dream eater stirred inside him, a whisper of nightmare that he'd carry forever. But it was quiet now, almost peaceful. "Maybe," he said, and for the first time in 3 years, he let himself imagine a future that wasn't just survival. The owl took flight, circling once before settling on Asha's shoulder again, and Jabari realized that perhaps the pieces he'd lost weren't gone forever. Perhaps they just transformed into something different. Below them, the village came alive with voices calling names, with memories returning, with people remembering how to be themselves again. And on the ridge where the pine trees grew twisted and old, the leopard man who had saved them stood watching, still half human and half beast, still fragmented and incomplete, but for the first time in years, not entirely alone.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more.